Okay, let's talk about the Rams. Where do they go from here? What's the plan moving forward? I actually find the Rams an interesting team because a lot of these teams that lose in the divisional round, it's like, okay, now it seems like, is their window closing? How do they get better? It's tough. They're out of cap space. Like, what do you do? The Rams are actually in position where they can get better. I think the Rams kind of went through this little rebuild, and they're still on the upswing, I would say. Now, Matthew Stafford's 36. How long is he going to play? Because he hasn't played a Tom Brady play style where Brady would always avoid hits and, get hit like 4 times a year. Stafford takes a beating out there, and you have to wonder how much that will affect him. That being said, I still think he is a very good quarterback when he is healthy, and I still think you at least get another year or two out of him. So you have that going for you. And even if, maybe on a play-by-play basis over the regular season, he might not have been as good as we've seen him in the past. In the playoffs, he's still playoff Matthew Stafford. He's still the guy you want in the big moments. So I think that's the good news, is you have a quarterback that you trust in a big spot. Not every team has that. So first, let's look at this chart, because to evaluate how you get better, first you have to figure out where you're currently at. These are the PFF grades for each positional category. You see that the Rams are 19th in passing, but I would say that obviously with Stafford, well, I don't necessarily disagree with the grades in the regular season. He's a lot better than that, and in the playoffs, you really expect him to be a good player. The strength of this team, though, is still the receiving core. Puka Nacua has really emerged as a star receiver. Now, the other thing you have to worry about is, I brought up Stafford's age, but Cooper Kupp is 31 and has gotten banged up a couple of times. That's something you have to pay attention to. Maybe you go out and draft another receiver. I don't know. But there's other issues with this roster. There's things that are really good and things that are maybe leave something to be desired. The pass blocking wasn't great. There were some injuries that factored in, and we'll get into that. Really, the interior is an issue. The tackles you feel okay about, but the interior is something that that is, I think, a concern they have to address this offseason, specifically the center position. I think they need a better center. With all respect to Bo Limmer, I think they could use an upgrade there. And then the defense, so the front seven was good, and it only got better as the season progressed. So by the end of the year, it was much better than a 10th ranked pass rush, and 10th ranked pass rush is still pretty good. The coverage was not ideal. That could be another area they could look for upgrades here. This is the nice thing for the Rams, is $47 million in cap space. As I said, they're actually okay. Now, Alaric Jackson, who had this really kind of breakout left tackle season this year, what's he going to get is the question. He was really good this year, but how good he hasn't been good for forever. So what's the price tag? He's a left tackle who was good. He's going to get some money. Then some of the other players, the number I have next to these players is the projections of millions of dollars, just my guess essentially. So definitely not a perfect, not perfect here. But you have Jimmy Garoppolo, who will get good backup quarterback money. Do they want to, pay him that much, or will they let him walk and try to find a cheaper option? We'll see. Demarcus Robinson, who was a nice role player for them. Michael Hoyt, another nice role player at the edge position. Robinson was a wide receiver, is a wide receiver. Tutu Atwell, another depth receiver. Do you let him walk? What happens there? And Ahkello Witherspoon, who I think you probably re-sign. He was a solid corner for them. So I think that's kind of what you look at. And another thing worth noting for the Rams is they currently have 9 draft picks as of now, and the comp picks haven't been announced. We'll see if they get any more. But 9 draft picks for the Rams, which that tends to be what the Rams like to do, is they like to add a ton of draft picks. Granted, it's just an extra 6th and an extra 7th, so it's not like super high draft picks, but they're going to get a lot of players. They're going to draft well. It's what they tend to do. But let's talk about the interior offensive line, because I think that's interesting. How do you upgrade there? I made a chart of, these are some of the top interior offensive linemen that they could look after in free agency. The Rams don't love to go after free agents. They like to a lot of times say, like, you know what, we trust our guys, we'll draft well. We get extra comp picks if we don't go after free agents, so like, let's just do that. But I still feel like this might be a year to make an exception. So for one thing, you have Drew Dalman. He's the only center on this list, projected to get $12 million. These are PFF's projections, not mine. They tend to be better at this than I am. Mine's very much a guess. But he's projected for $12 million. I wouldn't hate that move. Let's just sign a center and make that work. You also have Trey Smith, Will Fries, Tevin Jenkins, Kevin Zeitler, who I think was an all-pro caliber player this year, only projected for $6 million. If you can add him, if the Lions want to let him walk, I'd gladly take that if I'm a Rams fan. Also, some interior offensive linemen available in the draft. A lot of times centers will be available because not every team needs a center. There's only one guy you can play. So if a lot of teams that have centers, they're just not even going to draft another center because they don't need that. So, maybe you spend your first round pick or second round pick on a center. So a lot of times second round picks, you can get a quality center and then, you have a guy that you trust. And I do think that that's their biggest position of weakness, I would say. I also made a chart for the corners available, although I'll mention as well, there are currently 17 corners projected to go in the top 100 according to the consensus big board. So you will have opportunity to draft corners as well if you want to, and maybe even if you like someone in the first round, you can spend a first round pick on a corner, second round pick on a center. That would feel pretty good, I think. Although maybe you want to just sign a guy and say, you know what, because again, they have some money to play with, because keep in mind, if you can spend over the salary cap. In fact, basically every team does. Usually whatever the salary cap is, add an extra 10 to 15 million to it. That's what the teams will spend. Do you want to go after one of these free agents? I mean, again, DJ Reed, Charvarius Ward, Rasul Douglas, Carlton Davis, Asante Samuel Jr., Byron Murphy Jr., and Mike Hilton as a slot guy. All I think are interesting options that they could potentially decide to take a chance on. Let's just say, hey, let's just get a guy we trust in a spot like this. Because, we saw them obviously go after Jalen Ramsey a few years ago. They traded 2 first-rounders for this. Well, here, if DJ Reed's available, okay, he's not Jalen Ramsey, but you don't have to spend 2 first-round picks for him. You have to spend some money, but it's not... Again, it's not what the Rams always love to do, but I don't think it's crazy in a situation like this to try something, or again, 17 corners projected to go in the top 100. Maybe they just spend a third rounder on a corner and go there. But I don't know. It is interesting. But yeah, as a whole, I feel pretty optimistic about where the Rams are at. I do think that they're in a pretty good spot coming up to, again, you have a quarterback you trust. And that just helps you so much, right? Because even like a team like Baltimore, I made a video like this for them. And it's like, okay, like there's a lot of really good stuff, but like, and it's not just the quarterback, but they've had a history of maybe not showing up in the big games. The Rams have the opposite, where they get better in the big games. So you feel good about that. They just need more, I think, just a more complete roster to really make this work. And what a rebuild this has kind of been. Winning a Super Bowl, missing the playoffs, and then going to a full rebuild tour in the divisional game, nearly made it back to the conference championship game. But yeah, I do think that at the end of the day, they still need to improve their interior offensive line. You can't have Matthew Stafford be taking these hits at this age. I mean, again, when you get to your late 30s, one bad hit could end your career. That's concerning. The other thing is the coverage needs to be better. You have to hope that you can, improve there. And they have some depth pieces. So that's kind of why I'm like, maybe you just sign someone. I don't know. To me, those are the biggest things they need to improve upon. And again, the Rams have a lot of draft picks. They tend to draft well, so you trust that they can fill out kind of maybe some depth on their roster there. What I think they do is I think they probably just draft guys, which honestly is not the worst strategy. You just got to hope Matthew Stafford continues playing well, because if he stops playing well, you're screwed. But as of right now, it doesn't seem to be slowing down. We just saw that playoff run and how good he was. So yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.